So it is 7:06, and we'll convene the Board of Health. So we've got one variance hearing on the agenda for 7:30. We have the chair's business and the agent's business, as well as other business, with no late-breaking adds to the agenda.
Well, there's one late ad.
Okay.
Related to 64 Ivy Lane.
Okay.
65, I apologize, 65. They wanted to see if their building proposal could be reviewed. So-
Okay. So I'll add that as an item not reasonably anticipated.
Exactly.
And so I think we can get started. So my recollection is, despite having the homeowners here, we cannot start on the 7:30 until 7:30. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So maybe we can start by just resolving the wells that were outstanding from last time with the
Yes,
agent's
you
business.
saw them all, but you can see them again if you'd like. Or I can label them off, but I'll bring them up if you have any questions. These are the wells that the board saw 2 meetings ago, I believe, or 1 meeting ago, and we have resolved that they're in compliance with what they had to submit. So if you want to see them in my opinion, it's up to you.
I mean, I think our only concerns was a larger question of the kind of what status it was under. So it sounds like that was resolved as it remains a 40B, and
Yes,
all
because that's why we held up.
right. And then all 8 wells were in compliance with
The 40B requirements that were set when they approved this as a 40B. So they do have reduced distance standards, as long as they're a 40B.
Yeah.
That's why we held on. 'Cause they
But
were-
that doesn't, go ahead.
No, I'm ready to present.
Why is
or-
that? Because since it's for health reasons, we need to
So I think this is
make
part
sure that
of
their
the
water is safe. No, but we,
Sure.
right.
yeah.
So, I understand where you're coming from. We spent hours discussing the subdivision, and there was consensus of all the boards, and then finally the zoning board's decision to allow them to have wells closer to each other because it's within the same subdivision. So we require 75 feet well to well, and this goes back 10, 15 years ago now. There was a consensus to allow them to go to 50 feet, and they don't all go to 50 feet, some go 60, based on the type of project it is, which is a 40B, so it's more of a reduced area. With that said, they were allowed to do this per the vote of the board at that time, the Board of Health and the
ZBA.
We've been familiar with that process very.
And is it 60 feet or 50 feet? Because I remember that was one of the concerns that came up, was there was some that we were concerned might be inches
Yes, it
from
was
the.
50. They went down to 50.
Okay, so we feel like the concern we had last time of saying some might be inches are 10 feet.
Because
Perfect.
I don't see these every week, and then I forget what they allowed, and
Yeah.
Because I know that the state wants the residents to have safe water,
Yes, this one.
regardless of, especially affordable housing. We remember Flint, Michigan. So we have to remember that with public health, it's the only category where the state doesn't have
But I think in
a
the,
consideration, because public health has to be protected, and so we need to make sure we're protecting
And,
public health.
But I think, like-
water is important,
Yeah.
but
I
this
think
would
we
be-
voted on this already,
Yes.
like not this iteration of the board, but the sort of,
They felt
10 to
that
15
the
years ago.
drawdown, it could be a small drawdown as well from each, but because it's all one project, we're all drawing from the same reservoir basically, or below the aquifer. So they allowed the well to well, but it's not well to septic, it's well to well to be
Right.
50 feet.
Right.
And there's no septic system in the area, they
Mhm.
actually are treating, they have a small wastewater treatment plant way towards the back,
Mhm.
following down railroad tracks. So with that said, they felt, that. they
Right,
had
because
the
it's
wells in
well
one
to well,
area.
not well to septic.
and so for this, it sounds like previously we've adjudicated the distance piece in a prior board decision.
Yeah.
And so the
That is
question
correct.
now is validating that the well permit
Right.
sort of fits with those parameters, and per the discussion, last time they do,
Yes.
and we've now resolved the legal issue. So what do we need to?
I would recommend approval of the wells as presented at the last meeting. I'd be glad to show them to you again if you'd like.
I'm okay doing it based on the last meeting. Does that work for you guys?
Yeah.
I agree.
And do we need to approve them, well,
You can approve them as listed on the agenda.
okay.
If you want to state them out, you can. too.
Yes, so do I have a motion to approve well 1831 for 3 Adams Lane, Building 16, as listed on the plan?
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to approve well 1832 at 5 Adams Lane, Building 17, as listed?
Your turn.
So moved.
Second.
Aye. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do I have a motion to approve new well 1833 at 10 Millstone Lane, Building 32?
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to approve well 1834 at 12 Millstone Drive, Building 31, as planned?
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Percent aye.
Aye. Let me just
Okay.
turn this ring.
Do I have
Where it is.
a motion to approve new well 1835 for 18 Millstone Lane, Building 15?
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do I have a motion to approve well 1836, 19 Millstone Drive, Building 10?
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Home stretch now. Do I have a motion to approve new well 1837 at 20 Millstone Drive, Building 14?
I so move.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do I have a motion to approve new well 1838, 22 Millstone Drive, Building 13, as planned?
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Sounds good. And then I think we've got 15 minutes, and I see you're here from Sweet Meadow. That sounds great. So do you think we can get that in the 15 minutes before the variance? Sounds fabulous.
She has 2 permits. Can we do both of them at the same time?
That sounds great.
Okay, yes. The first permit is a food permit, and it's for the camp at the Sweet Meadow Farm. And I recommend that you approve the permit. The second permit application is for the 2018 recreational camp for children at the Sweet Meadow Farm. And I've been working with Julie for quite a while, and we almost have everything completed. There's a few things that need to be tied up and taken care of, but I'm very happy with the submittal that was given
Oh,
to
great.
me.
Awesome.
Very
Would you
happy.
mind summarizing what the permit is? Because last year we had a lot of discussion. I just want to make sure I understand
The permit for the
the
camp,
final decision, yeah.
the permit for the camp is for the children to have, well, I'll let Julie tell you.
Or the
Give them
food
a-
permit is actually the one that I was.
Oh, the
thinking.
food permit is,
Yeah.
they will be ordering pizza, and some children will be bringing their lunch. I was there the other day, and I checked the temperature where children's lunches will be stored if needed, because a lot of parents stick the ice container, the square in there, and the refrigerator is fine, it's clean and ready for them to be able to put everything in there. They have bathrooms that are porta potties,
The
but
world's greatest porta johns is how they were described
Well,
last year. Air conditioning,
yes,
heating, and possibly
yes.
nicer than my college dorm.
And I actually bragged about them to someone, because I never saw porta potties that looked better than some people's bathrooms. Yes, and she also has the hand washing sink, an extra hand washing sink within the assembly area where the children would be having their lunch, just in
Okay.
case, for backup.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
And for the conditions for the food establishment permit, is that anything?
It would stay the same,
Okay,
yes.
sounds perfect. So do you feel, it sounds like you're supportive of both applications?
Yes, I'm very supportive of both. We've had a good working relationship in preparing for all of this year.
Oh, that's wonderful. And no contingencies, it sounds like.
Not at this time.
Sounds good. So do I have a motion to approve the 2018 food establishment permit for Sweet Meadow Farm?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Julie.
And do I have a motion to approve the 2018 recreational camp for children at Sweet Meadow Farm?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
You're all set.
Awesome. Have a great night. Thanks so much for. And I know we've got the 7:30 hearing. Is there anything else of particular interest to folks who are here?
Oh, okay. You must, Brian, is it? Barry, I'm sorry.
I suspect that will probably be more than 15 minutes, Mark.
No.
Do you think we can get it in? Okay, come on up.
So,
We're gonna see.
Barry and Lauren are
And you're,
interested in.
you're welcome to come up to the table if you're so inclined.
They're both interested in purchasing a property in town, 65 Ivy Lane. And 65 Ivy Lane right now has an unfinished basement. And what has been going on the past week is there's been discussion on their wishes, and it's to take the basement room, and it's an L-shaped room, and make it finished, and put a half bath. And we discussed that, they understand that. And I said, well, that looks innocent enough, but the L shape might be under discussion. And the other note was, it's a 4-bedroom house. It has a newer septic system, tank, not a whole septic, just the tank. But they are waiting for the Title V inspection to make sure the entire septic system passes. And at the same time, before they buy it, they were hoping, they understand the Title V inspection report has to pass, or obviously that will be a
And they
matter
want
they
it to
can deal
pass.
with. Yeah. But as it relates to the room count for a 4-bedroom, I wanted to go over it with the board. So
Yep.
they have 3 bedrooms that are easy to define in a fourth, and then through the 4th bedroom, you go through here, through this door, you can get into an office. So they have 5 rooms, but the room has only one entrance, and it's through the bedroom. So I said, I'll show it to the board, I would consider it 4, but maybe, and there has been deed recordings before to designate the house as only 4. And then downstairs, I'll show you the downstairs, and that is
What is the septic system rated for?
4 bedrooms.
Okay.
So they're okay in that respect of the matching of, as long as we count that as a 4-bedroom setup upstairs. And then you have the family room, the kitchen with the breakfast area, we usually count that as 1. The dining room and the living room, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 or 5 upstairs, and then the basement room. And it's not gonna have any walls, correct?
So as it is now, it's actually fully open. We just wanted to kind of cut it off, leave some storage. Here's all the utilities.
But the sort of L-shaped portion's open. This part is carved out, but in this,
Yeah.
There's no walls like to make this too.
No,
Yep.
that would be all wide open.
So I said, it's close, you know, I would like to show it to the board.
Right.
They wanna have an answer, cause they wanna know if they.
if this
know
is an
what they wish
appealing
to do.
prospect.
And I said, maybe the board with the office might consider it needing a deed recording just to define it as a 4-bedroom.
Right.
Maybe not, and I leave it for the board, and if we're being cautious, that would be a cautious way to do it, is
Yeah.
just to state it's a 4-bedroom house.
Right.
Even though the basement's finished, and even though it has 5 rooms above the 2nd floor, it's the way they're orientated that I would say.
And it's also, that's like the established footprint.
Yeah.
So the kind of big things we think about is there particular ways that we count the rooms. So for Sherborn, the regulations are you count the rooms and divide by 2, and then round down. So for 9 rooms or less, 4-bedroom system works. 10 rooms, it doesn't. So you hear a lot of us thinking about what makes a room, and we'll get very metaphysical about it. The other piece that's more Sherborn specific is the requirement that all rooms above the 2nd floor be counted as a bedroom. And so in that system, this floor plan, if you're going to say, I'm building this right now, or we want to take this big master room into a sort of separate office suite off of it, would be trickier because you're now adding both an additional room and a room above the 2nd floor. But I think you kind of raise a key point of what we're really trying to think about is less your patterns of use, but more the kind of longitudinal life of the house. And so I think, again, it becomes a question of how concerned are we that a room that only enters another bedroom is, like, how likely is that to be a master closet versus another bedroom? And it's much more likely to be a master closet in my mind. That makes it feel different,
I would
where,
agree based on the fact there's a bedroom on the other side of it, so you
Yeah.
have to go through that room to get there too.
And
Yeah,
kind
that's because
but-
the
yeah,
first floor is not an issue.
There's no entrance.
right, so
No,
you sort of have,
to go through here to get
right,
to here.
and so you can kind of imagine that probably at some point in its life or future, you know, like a master suite or master closet or something.
That's what my wife can imagine.
Yeah. And so I think the other thing we're always thinking about is, you know, both thinking about your home or your potential home and then also being consistent with past precedent and future projects. And so for me, I think this isn't totally unlike the basement gym that was like the discussion before, is that it feels really unlikely, so long as this isn't connected to the hallway, that that gets done, and that level of change would require a building permit and an independent level.
And right now, this is existing, this whole.
Right.
floor, so there's no change out.
Right.
The only change would be each finished basement.
But if we count this as a room, then we're 5 upstairs and 4
Yeah, we should do
downstairs,
a deed
right?
recording to make sure everyone's aware it's a four-bedroom
Yeah.
house if that addition occurs, and that's the time you could do it, is at the time of that addition.
And so do you, what would your recommendation be, that we count this as a room and say it's a 10-bedroom home that we're treating with a 4-bedroom system, or that we say a room should have independent sort of entrance and egress from other rooms, and as such, we're kind of considering this
I would.
an accessory
In newer
space?
homes, we see designs coming out with parents' retreats,
Yeah.
so it's not unusual to see this,
Yeah,
and we will count it as just one room.
okay,
So, but at the same time, this is an older system, and I said, you know, and I'm a little bit divided on it too.
Yeah.
Should we have a flag at least to go up to say whoever
we just
buys
want to
this
make sure you
house,
know this is a
it's a
4-bedroom home.
four-bedroom house.
So,
It's,
Does this house already have a deed recording?
no. So, I mean, it's not in any way a detriment to the house to just flag it as a four-bedroom.
Right.
Be different if it had a well issue. And
Right.
when it gets, we know if it gets deed recorded, it's, to some people, it's concerning, but that's not the issue here.
yeah,
It's just a notification issue. As I said, it's a four-bedroom unit would be potential 8th or a 9th or 10th room, depending on how you
Right.
look at it.
and so for me, my thinking is kind of, if we're calling that a room, it's already a non-compliant floor plan because it's 5 rooms upstairs and a 4-room system. And so I think having it connect to the master bedroom for me makes it feel like it's not a conventional room. And so I feel okay not counting as such, saying it's a compliant baseline floor plan with 4 rooms upstairs that will go from being 4 upstairs, 4 downstairs, plus a now finished basement to a 9-bedroom
As presented.
or a 9-room system for a 4-bedroom house, and so we could just deed record to say this is a 4-bedroom system. Do we need to deed record that the office may not be altered, or, like, if this changed and you said, oh yeah, we knock out this closet, we put a little kick out here, you know, is, okay,
Yeah, so that would protect the house from being considered more than 4 bedrooms.
do you think we need to do that, or do you think we'd be okay with just a deed recording?
Well, that's why I brought it to you,
Yeah.
because I was divided.
Yeah.
I said it could be either way. There's plenty of information off from these minutes that can be put on file as another way to do it.
Yeah, so I think let's stick with it as a deed recording for a 4-bedroom house, but I think have the minutes attached to the file to just highlight that, you know, if a future board with a future homeowner was saying, okay, now this connects and we're making an alteration here, that we kind of revisit that. And again, none of these rooms are ridiculously big, so it's not one that, like, it would be hard to imagine taking out 3 or 4 feet of this width to turn it into a hallway or something else without having it be quite cozy. So I think that kind of passes the gut test for me. It doesn't sound like we have anything to vote on since there's no plan, but you'd have the minutes to sort of say, before we bought the house, we talked to you guys. You said it would be fine. What are you doing to me?
Right, right.
And
We're
so,
gonna wanna make you have to redo your whole septic system.
right. Sounds good?
Thanks very much.
Awesome. You have a good night now.
So he will, when he comes in with the building application, if he buys the house, submit it to the board at that time. with
Yep.
The minutes, okay. Thank you.
All right, we've got 5 minutes. I guess, how much discussion do people expect to have on the DESA special permit?
I have a couple comments, but.
Let's put it to after, just so we have plenty of time to do it. We've got I don't think we have, so you guys are here for 13. Perfect. And so is everybody here for 13 Great Rock? Perfect. Then in the last 4 minutes before that, we can just go through the new 2018 works installer permits. So I've got one for WW Contracting of Upton. The references are good, and I haven't heard about any new issues, and it sounds like they'll be working on the 59 North Main Street project. And I think this would be conditional to pre-construction meeting with agent prior to any work. I don't know, Mark, do you have any other comments or insights
Oh,
into
and
it?
I've worked with W&W a while back, but the pre-construction's when we get everything resolved on whatever is needed, as well as scheduling and so forth, and Board of Health requirements, so I think that'll all happen in pre-construction, and the references are always checked out ahead of time by administrative staff, so I don't see an issue with approving it.
Yeah, the references are good. So for Andover, Carrie Howard was the person who took the test and passed and has had no issues. And for Weston, it was a different member of WW Contracting who also had no issues. And so do I have a motion to approve the disposal work installer permit for WW Contracting Corp. of Upton, conditional to pre-construction meeting with agent prior to any work?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we got 3 minutes. Beth, do you think we can do the Douse Orchards?
Absolutely.
And is that your last order of business?
No.
What else do you have?
The the Royal Bengal Corp. DBA.
I think we can
Sherborn
do
Wine and
both in 3
Spirits.
minutes.
Yes, I know I can.
All right.
Very simple.
It's your time to shine.
Okay, I make a recommendation to approve the C.A. Douse and Sons, DBA Douse Orchards, 98 North Main Street, for their food license.
And what
For
are they, this is the Douse Farm Stand?
the Apple Place.
Okay,
They have a
Apple
lot
and
of plants in front right now.
yeah, perfect.
Okay, and
What are they authorized to sell?
they are a retail food establishment. They sell apples. They sell pies that are from an approved source, that are refrigerated, and they're frozen also. They sell honey, and they sell maple syrup. They sell eggs. It's your typical farm
Vegetables.
stand.
Vegetables.
They don't have a lot of vegetables
Not
yet, but
right
they
now.
will because it's slow at this time. We don't have a lot of vegetables coming in, except maybe asparagus.
And it sounds
you.
like their only issue will be the sodium posting since they're above.
Yes, and that was part of their application. They submitted that with the application. The posting will I went there today. The posting will most likely be up tomorrow, and then they will post the permit when they receive the permit and put it with the posting
They're
of the
not
sodium.
making the pies and.
No, they're not
They'd be
making
noted-
pies, but they
they'd be
will be
noted anyway.
making, they will be making cider, and that starts in the spring. So I will be back there to monitor the operation, to make sure everything is okay.
It sounds like you've got no concerns.
At this point, I do not have any concerns.
Do I have a motion to approve the food establishment permit for CA Douse and Son Incorporated with the sodium posting?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I make a recommendation to approve the Royal Bengal Corp. DBA Sherborn Wine and Spirits at 29 North Main Street. This is a brand-new application that was submitted. I've already been there too, and I've done an inspection to, because they had to buy a new refrigeration unit specifically to put their cheeses in. They will be selling cheese from an approved source that is already prepackaged, and they will be selling the crackers on the side that go with the cheese.
And they're, I'm trying to remember, are they they're making the cheese there?
No.
They're buying,
They-
okay, perfect.
They're
Perfect.
buying prepackaged from an approved source.
And it sounds like you also have no concern for
I
their.
don't have any concerns.
any-
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns? Do I have a motion to approve the food establishment permit for Royal Bengal Corp. doing business as Sherborn Wine and Spirits?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then do we need, sorry, Beth, do we need a sodium posting for that also?
Yes.
Do I need to add that to the motion, or are we good?
No, that would be included.
Perfect.
Everybody
have
over
that.
there has to do the sodium posting.
Perfect.
There's, it's not only them, the ice cream people are all connected to the same thing.
Perfect. So I think we're all set, and it is now exactly 7:30, so. I'm
Very good. You're doing good. I'm proud of you.
I'm telling you, we're gonna set the record.
Right.
And I think you're all set, Beth.
Well, I'm all set.
Right?
I can leave.
I think so.
Thank you very much. You don't need me for anything,
No,
right?
no, all
So don't
set.
forget that note I wrote on
Yes,
your
yes.
agenda, so you can meet on the way.
Thank you so much.
Oops. Thank
Come on
you,
up.
guys.
I feel like by definition, this is the shortest variance request ever.
Hi, Dave Sauce.
So I'm Eric Dickinson with Civilized Solutions. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. This project is 13 Great Rock Road. This is an existing 3-bedroom, single-family home. The existing septic system is located in the backyard, about 25 feet off the house. It's a cesspool with 2 pits. It is a failure. It's in the groundwater. The on-site well is located off the front corner of the house. The abutting wells, 17 Great Rock is located alongside this house in an enclosure. It's like a lean-to thing off the side of the house. 9 Great Rock, Susan McPherson's, is located in her front yard, like about here. Given the well buffers and the topography of this land, this is kind of cut out, it's kind of in a hole, and this is, there's a lot of rock, Great Rock. We did our
Yeah.
testing up in this area.
Are you in a butter?
I am in a butter.
You're welcome.
Come up and look.
You're welcome. No, you're welcome
Yeah,
to come up and look, and you
look
guys
at
are also
them.
welcome to come.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no worries.
Come and look at the map.
Is it okay just recapping that, Eric?
In here.
Thank you for explaining
Yeah.
what's happening.
Which one are you?
I'm 17, Great
Oh,
Rock.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I met your husband out there, yeah.
Yep.
So your
Yep.
well's in that little side enclosure, right?
My well is under my house.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
like-
maybe how it's represented on some town maps.
Yeah, okay.
Happy to explain that.
Hopefully you never have to
Yeah.
explain it to
It's a
us.
long story. Yeah. Anyway, go
But
ahead.
it is alongside the house right in there.
It's under,
Under, yeah.
I don't know exactly what that map means, but
So your driveway's right here, your front yard slopes down.
it's literally under my house. so-
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to orient myself.
But it seems like if it's under your house,
But the well- sorry.
no
Has the well
no
been
worries.
moved that
You're like,
you
I will
know
be
of?
specific.
I'm sorry?
Has the well been moved?
It can't be moved. It's in the slab under my house.
So all
so.
I'm interested in is that this is an accurate representation of where the.
That's
the
why
well
I'm
is.
asking,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm a lawyer and kind of a pain in the you-know-what. So I don't know what that little stick out thing
It's
right
that,
there is.
you have a little roof thing that sticks out on the side of your house
In the front, but that's
this-
not where the well is. That's why I'm asking.
Okay. Well, your husband kinda told me that.
And he's not here.
He's not here. So
But
it's
even-
under the house.
Even so, I mean, if we went off this back corner, we're still outside of that.
So it's all about
You-
distance, I understand.
Yeah, we're over
Yeah.
150.
And so the kind of
If-
key
if
points
we-
for you
yeah,
is that
thank
the
you.
existing system is in
Within.
failure, and so
If
having
we-
a broken
yeah.
system that's closer to your house is typically thought less preferable than a not broken system that's outside of the buffer.
I
So,
don't misunderstand. Topography being important here, yep.
and there are
Yep.
specific distances about what the distance between the well is and whether it's uphill or downhill changes the
Okay.
buffer. And so this is a downhill well, so it's a larger buffer.
Right.
Okay.
Which is
So my
good.
other issue is that my kids spend a lot of time across the street at the Page's house there,
Okay, over here.
so
This is,
I'm trying to look at myself, I'm sorry,
this is
look
the
at
road right here.
This is the road.
Yeah,
So technically, I don't know that there are butters, there are,
there's a playground area over here, kind
Yeah,
of thing. Yeah,
right.
okay. Yeah,
That's
they're
them.
well outside the,
they're outside.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
I don't know how drainage works, but
yeah.
they
You,
spend a lot
you
of
do have a
Maybe-
locus map if you need to
Thank
point
you.
out things, Eric.
They spend like everything,
Yeah, so
so that's why I'm raising it.
they're almost on the corner of Peckham Hill.
They're technically in the
Yeah.
corner of
Yeah.
Peckham Hill, they have 2 addresses, yeah, so
Okay.
that's them. Like,
Yeah.
that's their house right there.
And so if they were within the buffer
Yeah,
that was
they're
relevant, it would show up on this map.
Okay,
Located.
got it,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I don't even know if they had notice of the hearing, so.
I think they wouldn't if they're not in a butter, but if they were in the window, I think your map has to include anything that could be within.
No, I think everybody within how many
Yeah.
feet is it?
200 feet, and it's been addressed on your plan.
Yeah.
And on that
No, I
note,
mean, the notification.
notification, by the way, do we have the notifications? Did Ellen
All the
collect them?
butters are noted.
I don't have them in the
Yeah, we
file.
need the we should have asked for the notifications, I forgot to,
Thank you.
just to make sure we have those.
Yeah, if I can see the names on the list, that would be.
Do you have the green cards?
They were dropped off. at
Okay,
Board of
because
Health.
we,
Yeah.
Ellen is not here tonight, so, but you have a list, which is nice, so.
Yeah.
Is the list on here, or
Huh?
the list of the abutters on here?
No,
Okay.
That's just the letter that went out, but yes.
Oh, okay, the letter that went out to the abutters, that we do have the list of the green cards, and you can look at them. They would have been notified. It's direct abutters, to answer your question.
Okay.
So it's, some committees are 300 feet, we're direct abutters.
I might have.
No, that's okay. I mean, if it's been collected, that's fine.
So the distance between the well is identified by this?
The blue line for each.
The arc, like
Yeah.
Yep.
outside of that arc is outside of the recommended distance from a well. So luckily for you, the new system is outside that arc, so it's actually preferable
Yeah, it's better.
than the old
Right.
system.
Yeah.
This is in failure anyway.
Yeah.
So we sometimes make exceptions when things are in failure, but the good news is that this is better.
And so this arc is you, this arc is here, and then the northern abutter is that one.
Okay.
And so it's sort of,
Yeah, so this is
So
gonna be.
given
Switched it,
buffers,
wouldn't
if
Good
the
question.
buffers we tested our considering we're gonna stay outside of those buffers, we were able to get a system design, so it's a stone pipe system. We did add a bedroom, it was a 3-bedroom, we went to a 4.
Oh, okay.
Yep. But we.
Oh, you mean you added a bedroom in, so it's gonna be.
so it's a
four-bedroom?
larger
Capacity.
septic system.
The septic system is bigger,
Right.
so
I
it
think
has
you meant that I'd rather
capacity.
be
Yeah.
in the
No,
house, I was like,
sorry.
really? Construction?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just have
That
to
wasn't me,
make
Rick.
That was me.
I just want to stand corrected. 300 feet is where we notify. So we notify up to 300 feet, and the engineer just pointed it out to me, so
Okay.
I have to thank him. I don't do it myself, so that's why our administrative staff does.
We miss Ellen.
So, what was the name of the person you
The
were?
Page family.
Adam and Megan Page.
Yeah, exactly.
Page.
Yep.
My son's in,
School with-
their youngest, whose name I'm complete,
Lucas.
Lucas, super
Yeah,
sweet,
they-
like one
Adam
of his best
Page?
friends.
Adam,
Yep.
They were
yeah.
notified.
They were notified.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. So they're technically abutters.
Right.
So they're within that 300 feet. Okay.
But not of the new, but out of, but this is better for them too.
Yeah, I mean, as it stands now, this is in the groundwater, so,
And that's a cesspool.
yeah,
Okay.
cesspool, 2
Yeah,
pits,
so this is
right.
the front of their house, this is the front of Jean's house, this is the driveway.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, by the way, I'm Megan Tapley, I live over here.
No, that's fine.
Nice to meet you. Just trying- Oh, hi, nice to meet you. So this is Jean's, yeah, this is Jean's house, this is my house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what my husband was talking about, but this little, I think I know what he's talking about. This is the little side room, but it's really part of the whole house, so it's just bigger than that, that's why I
Yeah.
misunderstand when he drove here. Or, I don't mean to sound critical, what he
No.
represented here that someone else drove.
Yeah,
The well is under our house, so,
okay.
and it's more this way, but that's okay. It's not, cause I don't,
So your well's further away, and
Exactly.
now the septic
Exactly.
system that's a cesspool won't be as close to your well. You'll have a
it's a good thing our
compliant
well's
septic
not
system.
where other towns
It'll-
show our well.
This is
Yeah.
one of the
Back
best
here.
scenarios because.
If you ever have to
new
do
septic
this,
system is
they'll be sure to
more
notify you.
effective than the
Uh-huh.
old one, and it's farther away, so
Yep.
it's,
So
your
that's-
water will improve.
It's moving back
Hopefully.
further behind
Yeah.
Jean's
Plus,
house than
We,
currently.
we didn't ask for a variance to groundwater, the state only requires 4 feet,
Okay.
Sherborn's 5, we did 5 feet to groundwater.
Nice.
So
That's
you're getting
great.
that added protection.
Okay.
The only
Versus
variance
cesspool.
we're requesting is, this neighborhood is known for high groundwater,
Mhm.
and in these test pits, we had redox, which is signs of groundwater at 58 inches and 46 inches, so we were within 5 feet, so that's an automatic variance.
Okay. Okay, that's helpful.
And at the state, we usually try not to do variances, but for existing structures, the state allows us to make a variance because it's much preferable than having to have somebody redo their whole septic system
Sure.
for something that was already there.
Mm-hmm.
We're just improving it.
Yeah. And where it's in failure right now, and work better, I understand. Okay,
Yeah. It's gonna be a pump system, it's gonna pump up the hill,
okay,
yeah,
all right. Okay,
that's about it.
doesn't sound like a bad idea to me.
All right.
Yet representing the whole neighborhood, I have to kinda come in and see what's up, so
Yeah.
we can
Alright.
appreciate that. Okay,
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
okay, all right.
And Mark, any concerns for you?
No, I've reviewed the plan, it's in compliance except for the waivers being requested, and the one waiver, and there'll be a deed restriction, and as Eric noted, it's because of the fact the groundwater's high in this area anyways. When we say high, at 46 inches and lower.
And so there'll be the no garbage grinder.
They'll be requesting a deed restriction to have no garbage grinder, correct? So
Oh.
I'd recommend approval after the waiver hearing. Obviously, you gotta approve the waivers first.
Perfect. So do I have a motion to approve a waiver for section 8.02 to allow the SAS to be in an area with less than 5 feet of natural grade above high groundwater, and the SAS to be in an area where groundwater is at least 5 feet below grade, and the areas tested yielded groundwater less than 5 feet below grade?
So moved.
Second.
Do I need to add the conditional to the, so I grant the waiver, then we approve the plan?
And then I can recommend approval of the plan
Perfect.
with the deed restriction.
Perfect. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And you can close the hearing now if there's no other request for waivers, if you wish.
Perfect. So do I have to make a motion to close?
Yeah, someone can make a motion, as long as there's no other requested waivers. I don't see any need for any, the engineer doesn't, so yeah, you
Yeah.
can motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close the waiver hearing for 13 Great Rock Road.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And now I'm gonna recommend approval of this plan with the condition, since they did not design for a garbage grinder, that they have a deed restriction per our requirements. Approval of the plan, but before you make the approval, I just wanna note, the engineer has submitted a design that was very common previous years that we're seeing more of. And Eric, if you can show them the stone trench and how it's designed to meet our code, right below your left hand.
Oh,
Right
yeah.
there, yeah, just show, and you have designed it properly to our code, which is good.
Yeah, it's at least 12 inches of stone, which would
Yeah.
require,
You have the stone above to the,
yeah, at least stone above, yeah. there's
so-
no regulation.
Sherborn requires the same stone below as above for 4 inches. It gives more support to the trench, and it's unique, but it has been designed appropriately with the stone above, so with that said, I just wanted to note that, because the board has seen a lot of plastic chambers lately, and we're starting to see more stone trenches again, so you might see, it's up to the engineer, but you might see stone trenches in the future as well. And with that, I'd recommend approval of the plan with the deed recording for the garbage grinder.
That's good. So, do I have a motion to approve the plan as described with the deed restriction for garbage grinder?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night, guys.
Yeah, I just want to point that out, because it's new to the board, because normally they're approving innovative alternative deed recordings as well, and you didn't need any of that, so.
So you're
No,
considering,
no, I didn't want you to either, I just said you
so you're
may.
a prospective buyer? Oh, they're done.
Thanks.
Have a good night, guys. Do we want to do the Odessa special permit?
Sure.
I'm gonna start. So I think this is again, it's a first I know about it, so I welcome learning more from you. The Odessa site that is at the edge of Sherborn and Framingham, where most of the site is Framingham, but Sherborn is parking and has been since the 90s, and the sort of special permit is up.
Yeah, I can sit down here.
The question is, where does the Board of Health come in? Why are we being consulted?
I mean, I think we're consulted.
For every special permit, you'll be
Yeah.
consulted. So, and you would, there could be the chance that there could be a need to make sure they don't build over a septic system, or if they have capacity within the septic. So you'll see all the special permits being brought to your attention.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I want to comment, because there's appear to be a lot of different opinions on the subject, but the biggest issue with the Odessa plant has been something that some people don't think falls under public safety, but I think, Board of Public Safety, so therefore maybe it doesn't belong to Board of Health, and I actually think it does. As a physician, we counsel people to wear their seatbelts and drive within the speed limit, and, basically put their kids in seats. And the main issue, or one of the big issues that has come up with the Odessa plant is the significant traffic with 18-wheeler trucks carrying 30 cars, or I don't know how many are on them, going, 50 miles an hour down the little tiny roads. And that, and then a perception that those cars weren't getting pulled over, and the policemen from Sherborn were doing off-duty shifts in the Odessa, like, so there are all these, like, questions, concerns. So what happened was our town addressed the issue from a different perspective, and I think it was very effective, because since it was going on for years and there was a lot of concern, especially in families with young children. At the time, my children were young, so I was aware of it because I live on a street which is a cut-through. And the highway superintendent at the time, who's no longer in the town, was actually really helpful. And he created some islands and some barriers because one of the new concepts in traffic safety is, well, I should give a little bit of history. So 30 years ago, a long time ago, 30 years ago, prior to the seatbelt laws being enacted, there was a perception that widening and straightening roads would increase traffic safety. And for that reason, a grant was established, which was, I know it was in Massachusetts. I have no idea if it was a federal grant, so it might have gone to other states as well. But at the time when Massachusetts took advantage of that grant, it was associated with some state funding, which would be applied at the local level if small communities, were willing to widen and straighten their main thoroughfares. So all across the state, including so if you go to Williamstown, Massachusetts, and towns in far western Mass, like that you may have driven down Route 2, little tiny towns were basically now have highways going right through the center. And it was interesting because the desire to have the roads be safe and traffic safety and morbidity and mortality with traffic accidents was a big concern, and still is a big concern. But what happened was, within a few years, the seatbelt laws were enacted, and although the seatbelt laws had been enacted, the morbidity and mortality of traffic accidents didn't go down, it went up. And it was expected that it would go down. And so it was felt that this was a consequence of greater sightlines. People can drive faster, and actually behavior changes because people are less cautious when they're driving. And then there are also the commonly associated other issues associated with traffic safety, which have to do with weather and alcohol and substance abuse and speeding. But aside from that was this extra problem. So now the schools of thought are changing, and there are efforts being made to make roads more narrow, which is counterintuitive because it sort of became public perception that it was safer. And for that reason, the people are putting up barriers to try to narrow the sight lines. Some community roads are being encouraged to be more narrow, not the bigger roads. And but the other thing is that another state program was established called Tree City USA, where they were encouraging the planting of street trees along the roads in the public right of way. And the stipulation of the grants was that the trees had to be placed within the public right of way. So it was interesting because now there's controversy because people still believe the old thinking, and it doesn't matter. But it was interesting to learn that from the Massachusetts Highway Department and the Department of Environmental Protection and some of the state departments that were concerned with this. So anyway, to go back to the Odessa plant and where this falls in place, our highway superintendent about 10 or 15 years ago created some islands and things which you may have noticed on Woodland Street at the junction between Goulding and Woodland. There's an awkward entrance to that street, and part of these designs were created in order to not only require that drivers slow down when they make the turns, but also the added accidental sequela was that it actually made it really hard for the big, huge trucks to go. And so now there's a lot less of those, fewer of those big trucks driving down my road. And I have no idea what's going on in the other streets in town. But it was around that time that traffic safety study was done, and there was some unwillingness to have it discussed in this meeting because of the controversy that exists. But I thought it was interesting.
I live on Western Avenue.
Yeah.
Do I have to recuse myself from this discussion, or am I allowed to comment on my observations of what's happening on the street?
I think it gets tricky, because I think if you're in a butter, we'd say you can't weigh in, and so, yeah, I don't know.
I don't think you're in a butter.
I'm not
No,
in a
you're not-
butter.
you're not in a
I'm
butter, but it's sort
several
of-
miles from
Oh,
Odessa.
yeah, then I think Mark, I think it's probably fine, I don't,
Yeah, I think if it was discussion on Western Ave and
right, I
this
think if we're
relates to
talking,
this, then,
right,
then you may want to recuse yourself from
But
the
it-
discussion. But if it's just discussion of their request at the plant, at the
so
facility,
I think
it's
it
not a
gets
plant.
tricky, because if you recuse yourself, then we don't have a quorum,
And that's the other thing too.
Yeah.
and then our next
How
Board
about
of
if I
Health.
not say anything on this subject?
So I
I'm
think,
interested in what you think, because I don't
but I
live in
think
your
if
street.
you're sort of
but
saying, I
Yeah.
think what gets tricky is if there's a perception that,
Because,
Conflict of
right,
interest.
yeah.
and then I think for us, then we don't have a quorum, and so we could not have a, yeah, so I think
If
we're
there-
like stuck, and then
because
there's,
there is a lot of discussion in the
Right.
decision related to Western Ave.
yeah,
Yeah, and I also, but part of the reason I made a comment was that the author of the letter talked about the insignificance of the traffic. But I would argue that it might not be the perception that the residents of the town feel. Although I personally have noticed a significant improvement because of efforts made by our highway department.
to kind of.
Yeah,
get
and I thought
places
that
right.
was effective
Yeah.
and helpful. I don't know about Western Avenue.
So what I would say is, I would love your opinion informally out of the context of the sort of board discussion in a non-quorum setting. I think if you feel like that's an unfair treatment, then we could also say we won't express an opinion, though the next public hearing is on the 19th, that may not be the only one, and we can discuss it as a full board on
But
the
I think
20th.
there's a value, because I'm not sure that the traffic only affects one road. I think
And
it
I,
affects the
and
whole
if,
town.
and
The
if I
big
may,
roads.
just on, not the traffic, but on the issue of conflict, when the planning board met, 2015, there was a member on Western Ave that recused themselves. When they met on June 10th, 2015,
Okay,
one of their members who lives on Western Ave, I believe Eric Johnson,
Yes.
he recused himself. So,
so, yeah, so
He
maybe,
lives further from
And he
the
lives
plant
further
than
We
than
I do.
postpone the meeting to, this decision to
So
another meeting?
consistent with past
Yeah,
practice,
I
I
think you
should
need to
not
recuse
speak
on the
at
record.
the meeting.
yeah.
be on the safe
Yeah,
side.
that's
So
fine. I
for-
would not want to cause a problem.
And is there
Yeah.
anything that we need to vote on for this, Mark?
You would maybe send a recommendation to the planning board, but if you
Yeah.
can at this
I
point.
think we need to push it to the 20th, does that seem?
Just to protect
I
all
think
these
just,
interests.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that makes
And
sense.
I think that the reality is, from our perspective, it's not a major threat. It's something to acknowledge, but I doubt it's going to change.
I think if we're concerned about
Um,
having a conflict with a quorum, we probably just need to table the whole
Sure, we
discussion.
can save the whole discussion.
And push it to the 20th, just out of an abundance of caution.
That's fine.
So,
I agree.
So Ellen, when you see this, we'd like to talk about this on the 20th. And so I think that we're just left with the approval of warrants, payroll. I would favor that we also push the minutes to when Lisa and Daryl can weigh in, and Ellen's here to
Oh.
update the minutes.
I have a
but
lot of, I have many comments on them.
Let's
which
push it to the next
It's fine with
meeting,
me. I think it's fine.
just so that Ellen's there and
There's
can
no
clarify if
emergency.
there's questions.
Mhm.
So we'll push the 5:16 minutes to the 6:20 meeting, and we'll push the DESA special permit to the 6:20 meeting. And are there any other agenda items, Mark, that you're aware of that we
No,
need to
I
have?
just need to go get the stamps, I forgot
Perfect.
again, so.
Perfect. And so I think we're then just left with warrants and payroll. Does that line up with everybody else's scorekeeping? Rick, is this the all-time record for Board of Health?
Yeah.
So in that case, I think we can kind of close the meeting for the signing of warrants and payroll. So do I have a motion to,
I move that we close the meeting for sign of warrants and payroll.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome.